You are listening to the Nightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks so much for listening. Coming up, we'll talk Tulsa basketball with Kelly Hines of the Tulsa World. She is standing by in the virtual green room and will join us in just a few moments. First of all, we have news from UCF as they have filled their athletic director vacancy. Terry Mahajer makes the move from Arkansas State to take the reins at UCF's athletic department. Now his mission is to find a new head football coach after Josh Heupel followed former AD Danny White to Tennessee. So we'll keep an eye on the coaching search there. And obviously we'll have that news when it breaks on the Nightline Sports Network. Turning now to basketball and taking a look at the standings thus far. As is expected, Houston still leading the conference at 11-2, 17-2 overall. Wichita State at 8-2 in second place. They are 12-4 overall. Followed at Memphis, 8-3 in conference, 12-6 is their overall mark. And SMU holding down the fourth spot, 7-4 with an 11-4 overall record. Player of the week in college hoops, Jaden Gardner of East Carolina averaged a double-double with 22 points and 12 rebounds in a pair of games for the Pirates. He had 21 and 15 in their win over number 5 Houston, that big upset win back on the 3rd. The freshman of the week, Damian Dunn, the Temple guard, averaged 19 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 2 games last week. Led the Allison scoring in both games with 16 against Cincinnati and 22 against Wichita State. And since we were off last week, the players of the week the prior week were Tyson Etienne of Wichita State, and the freshman of the week was Tylen Pope of Tulane. And we'll do our check-in next on Tulsa basketball. Kelly Hines of the Tulsa World will join us when the AAC report continues right after this.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Nightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
All right, time now to check in on Tulsa basketball. And to do that, we head to Kelly Hines of the Tulsa World. She was the unofficial co-host during football season. And now we get to talk some hoops. Kelly, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And Tulsa was hot as fire during December and early January, and they had won, 6 in a row, and now they have lost 6 of their last 8. So this is like the equivalent to somebody running down the street and hitting the banana peel. What is going on?
It is the craziest season I've covered in a while, and that is after covering a really dramatic football season. So definitely did not see this. I've been calling it a mid-season meltdown. I did not see this coming, especially after the way Tulsa was playing in December and January. I felt like maybe this team has a shot in the conference. wow, like that seems forever ago. Completely different feel to this team now, and just no confidence, no offensive execution. It's just stunning to watch them struggle the way that they are.
Yeah, they get that bad stretch started with a blowout loss at Wichita State. What has been the culprit, you think, that has caused the team not to play well?
I think that when you're struggling, you're either gonna like turn a corner or it's gonna get worse, and I feel like there were times when it could have gone the other way, and it just hasn't. It's just gotten worse. And when you're struggling with your confidence, I think other teams sense that, and they're able to, that's when they feel like they can really strike, and that's what they've been doing. I mean, teams are coming in to Tulsa's home court and winning games. It's now 3 in a row. That is historically not something that happens very often, and I think that there's just no confidence with the guys. I mean, you could see it on their faces. You can see it with the way that they play, that they don't feel like they can win games, and then they go out there and lose games. And you're like, well, that's not a surprise based on, just the way they're carrying themselves right now. And that's a huge disappointment. And I know it's very frustrating for Frank Haith. I don't know what you can do about it at this point, because the losses keep coming, the games will keep coming. And even though Tulsa has an entire month of home games, which is pretty incredible, I don't think that's going to make a difference, especially when you're not allowing fans in your building. So really nothing going in their favor at this point. And as we know, anybody in the American can beat anybody in the American. So when you're down, that's when you're just opening the door for your opponent.
Yeah. And of course, they have a senior leader in Brandon Rochelle, and, and it looks like, he's still putting up numbers. So, I trust he's got to be frustrated as, one of the top guys on the team.
Yeah, but they're not really letting us talk to players right now. Mm-hmm. So, I don't have a good feel for where those guys are. I know it's frustrating for them because, you're seeing them come back out to the court after games and work on their shooting. It's obvious that they're not content with how things are going. It's just, I don't know how you can fix that, because they have some ability. Like, we saw that, you don't beat Houston by not having talent. It's just the inconsistencies and just the shooting struggles. It's just become really contagious within the team to where they don't really have anyone they can count on. Yeah, Brandon can do a lot of good things. He's had 5 double-doubles. That's great. Like, you're going to have more than 14 points from, that if that's going to be your only player in double figures, you're not going to be able to beat many teams. So season low, 48 points against Tulane. I mean, no offense to Tulane, but, that's not one of the better teams in the league right now. Like, you've got to have more production from your offense. Not having a post presence at all is severely hurting Tulsa. But, that's when you need your guards to make some shots, and they just haven't been able to do that.
Now, of course, you get to do Zoom calls with Frank Haith. Does he just seem befuddled?
He seems frustrated for sure. I think that, he's trying to get the confidence back up. And when they play poorly, I don't really know how you address that, because you can't be on their case for playing poorly when you know their confidence is really fragile. So I think this is like his hardest coaching job since he's been at Tulsa. I think this is like a really big challenge for him, trying to get these guys back on track. And I don't know that you can do it in a season like this with, the schedule disruptions and just, it's hard to have a high energy performance when you're playing in front of an empty gym. And I just don't know that you can flip that switch like you maybe could do in a normal year.
Well, I know one of the tweets you sent last night that got my attention was at the 8-minute mark during the game. You had said it was kind of a feel that they're important, not in the big picture, not just for the season, but the future of the program. Do you think this is something that is monumental that they can't recover from?
I really am starting to feel that way. And I know that, Frank's teams have typically overachieved, what people expected, but this team is underachieving. And that's a weird situation to be in, to see, this team not be able to win games that they should be winning. And just that game, against Tulane, the game against UCF, And there have been other moments, obviously, the loss at Temple, but you see those games unfold the way that they do, and you just have to think that, the higher-ups are like, this is not, going well. This is not really what we're wanting from the highest-paid coach in program history. I just have that feeling. But, I think what might be working in Frank's favor is, it's going to be at least a couple months before there's a university president put in place. Right now they have an interim president, they have an interim athletic director. Without having those, key people in place, I think it's going to be tough to make a big decision like that. So I don't know the direction that's going to go. I could see it going either way at this point. I do not have a good feeling about it for Frank right now based on how they've played in these last few games.
And again, I would presume that, given the fact that the COVID has disrupted so many programs in college basketball, I mean, you look at Duke and Kentucky are having terrible seasons. I would think that, that this won't, I don't think this should count against him. I would trust that might be somewhat of a saving grace there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's there are a lot of factors at play, but when you look at the body of work and see, one tournament appearance in 6 and 7 seasons, I don't know that that's, going to be enough. But is there enough there to give him, he's going to need another year, an extension, on his contract, because you don't want him going into the last year of his contract if that's what the situation is. I don't think that that's fair to a coach. You can't recruit, you can't build for the future in that case. So it's not a great situation right now. I mean, it's a weird year, and I think there's a lot of disappointment within the program right now. There's still some time to turn it around, but I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it just because I don't know that there are a lot of people in his corner right now.
And then, as you mentioned, there are no fans, so, home court advantage has disappeared for so many teams. It is remarkable now that the road games are now, such a 50-50 proposition for the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't have any advantage there, and maybe that advantage would be worth only a few points, but, in these close games, a few points is a lot. So, I think that Tulsa has aired on the side of caution, and I respect them for that, but that's not working in anyone's favor either. Yeah,
it is such a weird season, as you would suspect. And again, as you mentioned, they had knocked off Houston when they were ranked 8th, I believe. Actually, when they were ranked 5th, pardon me.
Yeah.
And then they lost the rematch as part of that tough streak. So that's one game where you probably kind of expected that situation. But when you look at losing to Tulane, UCF had never won in Tulsa, which tells you all you need to know right there.
Yeah, and Tulsa's dominated the series with Tulane, won 8 in a row. That's a series that really has just gone in Tulsa's favor, and when you can't even score 50 points against a team near the bottom of the standings, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, and then there are 5 scheduled games left. Again, you're seeing such a team that's in such a downtrodden way that if they could get, do you think if they could get some confidence in the stretch that might give them some hope in the conference tournament?
Yeah, I think that's Frank always says you want to be playing your best, going into March, and there's still some time for that to happen because this team does have some ability. I don't think they're as talented as the teams at the top of the league, but you can still beat those teams with really good execution. And, Tulsa's kind of been known for its defense, but obviously they've gotten away from that. But, you have to think that it's possible to flip that switch. It's just things are definitely not trending in that direction. But I think that it's either going to be, they're going to turn it on and light it up, or it's just going to continue to be the same thing. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground.
Yeah. Well, you and I spoke a lot during the football season because it was a magical season for the Golden Hurricane on the gridiron this year. What I don't think we had spoken since the Armed Forces Bowl when all that brouhaha happened, with Tulsa and Mississippi State. Looking back at that game, it was kind of weird that it was so chippy because, you don't look at Tulsa and Mississippi State and say, ooh, there's a natural rivalry here.
Right. I mean, they never played before, and just that game was weird. I think Mississippi State was kind of getting tired of people, making fun of their record and being, in a bowl game. And Tulsa, had a weird season, but was feeling pretty confident, going into that game. It was a great opportunity, and it went down to the wire, as, most of their games did. But there were chippy moments throughout that game, and the officials never really got control of it. Before the game started, Mississippi State had players, bodying up to Tulsa. They had shirtless linemen up against CU players, before the game, and no coaches, no officials out there. I mean, I still can't believe what happened after the game, because that is really just not a good look for anyone involved. But looking back at it, you kind of see how it got to that point. But what strikes me even now is how, Tulsa has, they did a whole investigation, and they, have penalties for guys involved, and it's just nothing from Mississippi State.
Yeah, which is weird when they have guys posting their antics on social media, right? It's just,
right.
Is that probably the most wild thing you've seen covering college football?
Oh man, it's one of the wildest. It's hard to imagine anything crazier than that. And what will forever remain with me when I look back on that season was, the second the game was over, I'm like kind of putting in perspective what a weird year it was. And then I look down on the field and there's this huge fight. And I'm like, okay, we're not done with 2020 yet. And that was the last day of 2020. And for that to be like kind of my, last memory of the year, I was like, okay, just had that one final twist that 2020 had to get in there. But yeah, I mean, it was weird to see that unfold, just because, I may be a little bit partial to the guys I cover, but Tulsa recruits really good kids. They don't have guys who are going to be causing problems, and for them to be caught up in all of this, not a great look, but really not a good representation of what this team is. And it's hard to tell really, how many guys who got involved, hard to tell whether they were coming to their teammates' defense or if they were trying to hold them back to break up the fight. It just wasn't a good look. It's hard to know intentions in the heat of the moment, but it was just really disappointing to see it come to that. See ESPN breaking in, to their coverage and showing all of that. It was kind of crazy to look back on. Tulsa hasn't been especially forthcoming with their disciplinary measures, but it definitely sounds like a few guys will be suspended for at least a game.
Yeah. Well, what will be interesting now for me to watch, Zaven Collins had a terrific season. You did a great story on him, by the way, for the Tulsa World. And, he garnered some big postseason honors, and now he's going to be in the NFL draft. Be interesting to see how high he gets drafted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes for him, because, when you get to know a guy, you can't help but root for them when they, move on, and getting to know him and his mom and, just kind of seeing who he is as a person. I feel like good things are going to happen for him, not just because of his talent, but because of his work ethic. He's very driven. He's just all of the things that you really want in, not just a college football player, but an NFL player. I think that whoever gets him, it's going to be a great situation. Ideally, you'd want it to be a team that has some success, because I think that they, it just would be an enjoyable experience for him. But, I think that any team would benefit from having him on the roster.
Well, I know my Dallas Cowboys need some help on defense. I'd be happy if they drafted him.
Oh, yeah. No, I get that for sure.
No doubt about it. Well, Kelly Hines, as always, we thank you for your participation. And please remind the folks where they can follow your work.
You can always find me on Twitter Kelly Hines TW. My bosses would love for my stories to get more traffic on TulsaWorld.com. Just, hit refresh a few times. That would help. This has been a weird season between football and basketball, and we're trying to cover it the best that we can. It's just, you never know what direction it's going to take.
Yeah, well, we definitely appreciate all the hard work you're doing, and we thank you for being here once again. Thanks, Kelly.
Anytime.
All right, turning now to the women's side of the hardwood. In the standings, South Florida still leading the way at 7-0, 10-1 overall. Of course, they have been paused by COVID. UCF at 7-1, 9-2 overall in second. Tulane has won 5 straight. They're at 9-4 in conference, 13-5 overall. Houston 8-4 in conference, 11-5 overall. And Temple in the 5th slot, 7-5 in conference, with a 7-8 overall record. The players of the week in women's hoops, Jasmine Lewis of Houston. She had a great outing last week in their 64-56 win over Tulsa, 12 points on 71% shooting, added 9 rebounds, 2 block shots, and a steal to her stat line as the player of the week. And the freshman of the week was Joshua Clinton of Temple, averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists per game, as Temple went 2-0 last week, had road victories at Cincinnati and Wichita State. Had an 18-point performance against the Bearcats. It had 16 points, 5 assists, and a steal against Wichita State. And again, because we were off last week, the players of the week before were Rebecca Liskay of Tulsa, the freshman of the week, Jerkayla Jordan. Tell me you haven't heard that before. The super freshman of Tulane has been wearing that award out, to say the least. Back with some final news and notes before we wrap things up on the AAC Report, only on the Nightline Sports Network. Stay with us.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Fagley reminding you to tune in every Tuesday night, 9 to 10 p.m. on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, plus the WDBO app for Nightline at Night. Brought to you by Chad Bar Law. We'll be taking your calls and your texts reacting to the previous week's UCF sports action, and you never know who will show up. Once again, that's Nightline at Night, every Tuesday, 9 to 10 p.m. on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, plus the WDBO app. Go Knights and charge on.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Nightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this.
We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys?
My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong, spoiler alert, until Piggy dies.
Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Yeah. Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Nightline Sports Network.
I need to talk to you about something very near and dear to my heart. It's Tijuana Flat's new fajita tacos, available for a limited time. Grilled chicken or steak with fajita peppers and onions, garlic lime sauce, and guajillo chili salsa. Topped with cheddar jack cheese, crisp iceberg lettuce, and fresh pico on warm flour tortillas served with chips and salsa. We're talking good vibes and even better flavors from a whole nother plane of deliciousness. Available for a limited time either in-store or through their app and website for delivery or pickup. These aren't just fajitas. They're something better. True enlightenment. Fajita tacos. Available for a limited time only at your neighborhood Tijuana Flats.
All right, before we wrap things up, let me give you some other news. Volleyball first. Offensive Player of the Week was Tyler Lindgren of Temple. had a great week all around from the center position, a pair of straight set sweeps against Coppin State and St. John's, averaging 11.67 assists per set, third in the conference, and during a 267 hitting week, which is second in the conference for the Owls to go with 2.83 digs per set. The defensive player of the week was Narissa Moravec of UCF, and she was dominant in their non-conference series against Tulane. Yes, that was a non-conference. Logged a conference-high 1.88 blocks per set and 15 overall blocks for the weekend. And the players of the week prior, McKenna Millville of UCF, and the defensive player of the week was Tori Frederick of Houston. Track and field, the men's track athlete of the week is Joseph Holthison of Wichita State, one of the nation's top times in the 60-meter hurdles, racing to an event win during the Herm Wilson Invitational, and he got to the finish line at 7.79, ranked first at the top of the American standings, sixth in the NCAA as of February 9th. The field athlete of the week, Christian Sampi of Houston, picked up the event win in the pole vault during the Texas A&M Charlie Thomas Invitational, clearing a top mark of 5.21 meters in that victory. The women's track athlete of the week is Kaisha Chandler of Cincinnati. For the second straight time, third place finish in the 200-meter dash at the South Carolina Invitational. Had a time of 23.62, top time in the American this season, 23rd fastest in the NCAA as of February 9th. And the women's field athlete of the week is Malin Smith of Cincinnati, third in the shot put at the South Carolina Invitational, posting a mark of 16.17 meters. And that throw led all competitors in the American and ranked 17th in NCAA Division I as of February 9th. In cross country at the 4 Mile Creek Resort in Augusta, Kansas this past Saturday, Tulsa was once again raising the team hardware, both on the men and women's side. And Wichita State's Winnie Kaskay staked her claim as the most decorated cross-country student athlete in conference history with a third straight individual win. Tulsa men are the seventh straight conference championship since joining the American in 2014, tying a championship record score set by the Golden Hurricane just last season with 20 points to win the men's 8K team title. Patrick Dever earned his first American individual championship with a winning time of 23:28.82, outpointing teammate Scotty Beatty for the top crown. As in that particular venue, and defending champion Aaron Benenfield from Cincinnati found the podium for the third straight season. He crossed in 23:36.99 for third place, all conference honors, and to secure a second-place team result for the Bearcats. That was their best showing since 2014. And that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the show. We thank you, as always, for lending your ears. As always, please follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88, and also you can follow the Nightline Sports Network at UCF_Nightline. This has been the AAC Report only on the Nightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.